Sun Tzu was a Chinese general who lived around the 5th century BC. The collection of essays on the art of war attributed to Sun Tzu is the oldest known treatise on the subject. Despite its antiquity, Sun Tzu's advice remains relevant. The Art of War is the greatest strategy book of all time. It inspired Napoleon, Machiavelli, Mao Zedong, and many other historical figures. This 2,500-year-old book is one of the most important classical Chinese texts, and despite the passage of time, none of its principles has become outdated, nor is there a single piece of advice that is not useful today. General Sun Tzu's work is not only a book on military practice but a treatise that teaches the supreme strategy of applying knowledge of human nature wisely in moments of confrontation. Therefore, it is not a book about war but a work to understand the roots of a conflict and seek a solution. The greatest victory is to win without fighting, Sun Tzu tells us, and that is the distinction between the prudent and the ignorant. The core of Sun Tzu's philosophy of war rests on these two principles. All the art of war is based on deception. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Sun Tzu's ideas spread throughout the rest of Asia and reached Japan. The Japanese quickly adopted these teachings and possibly added some of their own. It is known that the main Japanese book on the subject, the Book of Five Rings, is influenced by Sun Tzu's philosophy, as its author, Miyamoto Musashi, studied the art of war during his training as a samurai. Eastern cultures are often referred to as cultures of strategy, and Sun Tzu's influence in this cultural development is significant. Today, the philosophy of the art of war has gone beyond strictly military boundaries, being applied to business, sports, diplomacy, and even personal behavior. For example, many key phrases in modern business management manuals are practically direct quotes from Sun Tzu's work, changing, for example, army to company or weaponry to resources, among other things. The ideas remain entirely valid despite the 25 centuries that have passed since they were written. In this video, we will address and analyze the main ideas from The Art of War and their application in the business world to achieve success by applying its teachings. If you are interested in this type of content, please subscribe. It would be a great help to our channel, and you'll have videos that will assist you in leading a healthy and successful life on our journey to 94. Chapter 1, Laying Plans. Sun Tzu said, "The art of war is of vital importance to the state. It is a matter of life and death, a road either to safety or to ruin. Hence it is a subject of inquiry which can on no account be neglected. The art of war, then, is governed by 5 constant factors, to be taken into account in one's deliberations when seeking to determine the conditions obtaining in the field. These are: the moral law, the accord between the ruler and his subjects, that their ruler is righteous in his conduct and that they remain loyal to him. Heaven signifies night and day, cold and heat, times and seasons. Earth comprises distances, great and small, danger and security, open ground and narrow passes, the chances of life and death. The commander stands for the virtues of wisdom, sincerity, benevolence, courage, and strictness. Method and discipline, defined as the marshalling of the army in its proper subdivisions, the graduations of rank among the officers, the maintenance of roads by which supplies may reach the army, and the control of military expenditure. These 5 factors should be familiar to every general. He who knows them will be victorious, he who knows them not will fail. Therefore, in your deliberations, when seeking to determine the military conditions, let them be made the basis of a comparison, in this wise. Which of the 2 sovereigns is imbued with the moral law? Which of the 2 generals has the most ability? With whom lie the advantages derived from heaven and earth? On which side is discipline most rigorously enforced? Which army is stronger? On which side are officers and men more highly trained? In which army is there the greater constancy both in reward and punishment? By means of these 7 considerations, I can forecast victory or defeat. The general that hearkens to my counsel and acts upon it, will conquer, let such a one be retained in command. The general that hearkens not to my counsel nor acts upon it, will suffer defeat, let such a one be dismissed. While heading the profit of my counsel, avail yourself also of any helpful circumstances over and beyond the ordinary rules. According as circumstances are favorable, one should modify one's plans. All warfare is based on deception. Hence, when we are able to attack, we must seem unable. When using our forces, we must appear inactive. When we are near, we must make the enemy believe we are far away. When far away, we must make him believe we are near. Hold out baits to entice the enemy. Feign disorder, and crush him. If he is secure at all points, be prepared for him. If he is in superior strength, evade him. If your opponent is of choleric temper, seek to irritate him. Pretend to be weak, that he may grow arrogant. If he is taking his ease, give him no rest. If his forces are united, separate them. Attack him where he is unprepared, appear where you are not expected. These military devices, leading to victory, must not be divulged beforehand. In a business context, Sun Tzu's principles from Chapter 1 of The Art of War emphasize the importance of strategic thinking, ethical leadership, adaptability, and resource management. They guide businesses to align their values and mission with the trust and loyalty of customers and employees. Stay attuned to changing market conditions and external influences. Foster leadership qualities like wisdom, sincerity, benevolence, courage, and strictness. Efficiently organize resources, operations, and strategies. These principles encourage businesses to analyze competitors, practice ethical conduct, remain adaptable, employ strategic deception, manage resources effectively, time market entry, and maintain a strong ethical foundation. Overall, they emphasize the need for a well-rounded and strategic approach to achieve success in the dynamic world of business. Chapter 2, Waging War. Sun Tzu said, "In war, the way is to avoid what is strong and to strike at what is weak. Water shapes its course according to the nature of the ground over which it flows. The soldier works out his victory in relation to the foe whom he is facing. Therefore, just as water retains no constant shape, in warfare, there are no constant conditions. He who can modify his tactics in relation to his opponent and thereby succeed in winning, may be called a heaven-born captain." The 5 elements, water, fire, wood, metal, earth, are not always equally predominant. The 4 seasons make way for each other in turn. There are short days and long, the moon has its periods of waning and waxing. So it is with war, the victorious strategist only seeks battle after the victory has been won, whereas he who is destined to defeat first fights and afterwards looks for victory. The consummate leader cultivates the moral law and strictly adheres to method and discipline, thus, it is in his power to control success. In respect of military method, we have, firstly, measurement, secondly, estimation of quantity, thirdly, calculation, fourthly, balancing of chances, fifthly, victory. Measurement owes its existence to earth, estimation of quantity to measurement, calculation to estimation of quantity, balancing of chances to calculation, and victory to balancing of chances. A victorious army opposed to a routed one is as a pound's weight placed in the scale against a single grain. The onrush of a conquering force is like the bursting of pent-up waters into a chasm 1,000 fathoms deep. So much for the initial advantage of a victory. It is the rule in war, if our forces are 10 to the enemy's 1, to surround him, if 5 to 1, to attack him, if twice as numerous, to divide our army into 2. If equally matched, we can offer battle, if slightly inferior in numbers, we can avoid the enemy, if quite unequal in every way, we can flee from him. Hence, though an obstinate fight may be made by a small force, in the end it must be captured by the larger force. Now the general is the bulwark of the state. If the bulwark is complete at all points, the state will be strong. If the bulwark is defective, the state will be weak. There are 3 ways in which a ruler can bring misfortune upon his army. By commanding the army to advance or to retreat, being ignorant of the fact that it cannot obey. This is called hobbling the army. By attempting to govern an army in the same way as he administers a kingdom, being ignorant of the conditions that obtain in an army. This causes restlessness in the soldiers' minds. By employing the officers of his army without discrimination, through ignorance of the military principle of adaptation to circumstances. This shakes the confidence of the soldiers. But when the army is restless and distrustful, trouble is sure to come from the other feudal princes. This is simply bringing anarchy into the army, and flinging victory away. Thus, we may know that there are 5 essentials for victory. He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. He will win who knows how to handle both superior and inferior forces. He will win whose army is animated by the same spirit throughout all its ranks. He will win who, prepared himself, waits to take the enemy unprepared. He will win who has military capacity and is not interfered with by the sovereign. Hence, the saying, if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. Chapter 2 of The Art of War by Sun Tzu provides valuable business insights. Adaptability. be flexible and adjust strategies to changing circumstances. Timing and preparation, make decisions and take action when success is assured. Thorough preparation is key. Resource management, allocate resources efficiently for sustainable growth. Numerical superiority, compete effectively even when facing larger competitors. Leadership and decision-making, strong leadership and informed decisions are essential. Understanding the competition, analyze competitors to strategically position your business. Unity of purpose, foster a shared company culture and goals among employees. Avoiding mistakes, learn from the errors of misinformed or ignorant leaders to prevent business failures. In summary, these principles guide businesses to make informed decisions, adapt to change, and compete effectively in a dynamic environment. Chapter 3, Attack by Stratagem. Sun Tzu said, "In war, the way is to avoid what is strong and to strike at what is weak. To subdue the enemy without fighting is the acme of skill. What is of supreme importance in war is to attack the enemy's strategy. The next best is to disrupt his alliances. The next best is to attack his army. The worst policy of all is to besiege walled cities. The rule is, not to besiege walled cities if it can possibly be avoided. The preparation of mantlets, movable shelters, and various implements of war will take up 3 whole months, and the piling up of mounds over against the walls will take 3 months more. The general, unable to control his irritation, will launch his men to the assault like swarming ants, with the result that 1/3 of his men are slain, while the town still remains untaken. Such are the disastrous effects of a siege. Therefore, the skillful leader subdues the enemy's troops without any fighting, he captures their cities without laying siege to them, he overthrows their kingdom without lengthy operations in the field. With his forces intact, he will dispute the mastery of the empire, and thus, without losing a man, his triumph will be complete. This is the method of attacking by stratagem. It is the rule in war, if our forces are 10 to the enemy's 1, to surround him, if 5 to 1, to attack him, if twice as numerous, to divide our army into 2. If equally matched, we can offer battle, if slightly inferior in numbers, we can avoid the enemy, if quite unequal in every way, we can flee from him. Hence, though an obstinate fight may be made by a small force, in the end it must be captured by the larger force. Now the general is the bulwark of the state, if the bulwark is complete at all points, the state will be strong, if the bulwark is defective, the state will be weak. There are 3 ways in which a ruler can bring misfortune upon his army. By commanding the army to advance or to retreat, being ignorant of the fact that it cannot obey. This is called hobbling the army. By attempting to govern an army in the same way as he administers a kingdom, being ignorant of the conditions that obtain in an army. This causes restlessness in the soldiers' minds. By employing the officers of his army without discrimination, through ignorance of the military principle of adaptation to circumstances. This shakes the confidence of the soldiers. But when the army is restless and distrustful, trouble is sure to come from the other feudal princes. This is simply bringing anarchy into the army, and flinging victory away. Thus, we may know that there are 5 essentials for victory. He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. He will win who knows how to handle both superior and inferior forces. He will win whose army is animated by the same spirit throughout all its ranks. He will win who, prepared himself, waits to take the enemy unprepared. He will win who has military capacity and is not interfered with by the sovereign. Hence, the saying, if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. Chapter 3 of The Art of War, by Sun Tzu, titled Attack by Stratagem, offers valuable lessons for business strategy. Focus on strategy. The most skillful approach in both war and business is to defeat the competition by attacking their strategy rather than engaging in direct conflict. Identify their weaknesses and exploit them. Disrupt alliances. In business, consider disrupting your competitors' partnerships, alliances, or supply chains to weaken their market position. This can be achieved through strategic partnerships, acquisitions, or innovative business models. Attack competitors' strengths. Rather than confronting competitors head-on, target their vulnerabilities or areas where they are less dominant. This may involve innovative marketing, product differentiation, or finding unmet customer needs. Avoid lengthy battles. Engaging in prolonged, resource-draining battles, such as price wars or legal disputes, should be a last resort. It's often more effective to find alternative solutions that avoid direct confrontation. Subdue without fighting. In both war and business, the ultimate goal is to achieve victory with minimal conflict. This can be done by outmaneuvering competitors, gaining market share, or securing strategic advantages without engaging in costly battles. Strategic retreat. If faced with unfavorable circumstances, consider strategic retreat or market diversification rather than persisting in an unproductive endeavor. In a business context, Sun Tzu's advice encourages strategic thinking, adaptability, and the pursuit of victory through intelligence and clever maneuvering rather than brute force. It emphasizes the importance of understanding your competition, exploiting their weaknesses, and avoiding direct confrontations whenever possible. Chapter 4: Tactical Dispositions. Sun Tzu said, "The good fighters of old first put themselves beyond the possibility of defeat, and then waited for an opportunity of defeating the enemy. To secure ourselves against defeat lies in our own hands, but the opportunity of defeating the enemy is provided by the enemy himself. Thus, the good fighter is able to secure himself against defeat, but cannot make certain of defeating the enemy. Hence, the saying, one may know how to conquer without being able to do it." In ancient times, skilled warriors first made themselves invincible, and then waited to discover their adversaries' vulnerabilities. Making yourself invincible means knowing yourself, while waiting to discover the enemy's vulnerability means knowing others. Invincibility lies within oneself, vulnerability lies in the enemy. Therefore, skilled warriors can be invincible, but they cannot make their adversaries vulnerable. If the adversaries have no battle order to inform about, no negligence or flaws to exploit, how can you defeat them, even if they are well equipped? This is why it is said that victory can be perceived but not manufactured. Invincibility pertains to defense, vulnerability to offense. When you haven't observed vulnerabilities in the enemy's battle order, conceal your own attack formation, and prepare to be invincible for self-preservation. When the adversaries have vulnerable battle orders, it is the time to launch an attack. Defense is for times of scarcity, attack for times of abundance. Defense experts hide in the depths of the earth, attack experts hide in the highest heights of the sky. This way, they can protect themselves and achieve total victory. In defensive situations, you remain silent and erase your tracks, hidden like ghosts and spirits underground, invisible to everyone. In offensive situations, your movements are swift, and your attack is like thunder and lightning, too fast for anyone to prepare for, even if it comes from the heavens. Predicting victory when anyone can see it is not true skill. Everyone praises victory won in battle, but that victory is not truly great. What is truly desirable is to see the subtle and understand the concealed, to the point of achieving victory where there seems to be none. Much strength is not required to lift a hair, sharp eyesight is not necessary to see the sun and the moon, and keen hearing is not needed to hear the thunders rumble. What everyone knows is not called wisdom, and victory over others obtained through battle is not considered a good victory. In ancient times, those known as great warriors won when it was easy to win. If you can only secure victory after confronting an adversary in armed conflict, that victory is a hard-earned one. If you can perceive the subtle and understand the hidden, breaking in before the battle order, the victory thus obtained is an easy one. Therefore, the victories of skilled warriors do not stand out due to intelligence or bravery. Hence, victories won in battle are not due to luck. These victories are not coincidences but are the result of positioning oneself securely in a way that ensures victory, prevailing over those who have already lost in advance. Great wisdom is not obvious, and great merit is not announced. When you can perceive the subtle, victory is easy to attain. What does this have to do with intelligence or bravery? When problems are resolved before they arise, who calls it intelligence? When there is victory without battle, who speaks of bravery? So, skilled warriors take a position where they cannot lose, and they do not overlook the conditions that make their adversaries prone to defeat. Therefore, a victorious army wins first and engages in battle later, a defeated army fights first and then tries to achieve victory. This is the difference between those with strategy and those without premeditated plans. Those who use weapons skillfully cultivate the way and observe the laws. Thus, they can govern by prevailing over the corrupt. To use harmony to dispel opposition, not to attack an innocent army, not to take prisoners or loot as the army passes through, not to cut down trees or contaminate wells, to clean and purify the temples of the cities and mountains along the way you pass, not to repeat the mistakes of a decadent civilization, all of this is called the way and its laws. When the army is strictly disciplined to the point where the soldiers would die before disobeying orders, and rewards and punishments are trustworthy and well established, when the leaders and officers can act in this way, they can defeat a corrupt enemy prince. Military rules are 5: measurement, estimation, calculation, comparison, and victory. The terrain leads to measurements, measurements lead to estimations, estimations lead to calculations, calculations lead to comparisons, and comparisons lead to victories. Through size comparisons, you can determine where victory or defeat lies. Consequently, a victorious army is like a kilogram compared to a gram, while a defeated army is like a gram compared to a kilogram. When the winner gets their people to go to battle as if they were directing a great stream of water into a deep canyon, this is a matter of battle order. When water accumulates in a deep canyon, no one can measure its quantity, just as our defense does not reveal its shape. When the water is released, it rushes downward like a torrent, as irresistibly as our own attack. Chapter 4 of The Art of War, by Sun Tzu, adapted for a business context, emphasizes the following key principles. Self-knowledge and competitive analysis. Before engaging in business competition, it's crucial to know your own strengths, weaknesses, and capabilities. Additionally, analyze your competitors to identify their vulnerabilities. Defense and offense. Understand when to adopt a defensive posture to protect your existing market position and when to go on the offensive by launching new products, entering new markets, or seizing opportunities. Strategic positioning. Prepare extensively and gain a competitive edge before engaging in business conflicts. Thorough planning, market research, and strategic positioning are essential for success. Avoid unfavorable battles. In the business world, avoid engaging in competitions where the odds are against you. Focus on areas where you have a clear advantage to maximize your chances of success. Timing is crucial. Recognize the right timing to make strategic moves. Timing can significantly impact the outcome of business decisions, just as it does in warfare. Leadership and discipline. Effective leadership and discipline are critical for business success. Leaders should instill a sense of purpose and ensure teams adhere to strategy and discipline. Ethical and rule-abiding practices. Foster a corporate culture that adheres to core values and ethical rules. This builds trust and contributes to long-term business success. Adaptability. Be flexible and willing to adjust your business strategies in response to changing market conditions and competition. Resource allocation. Apply principles of measurement, estimation, calculation, comparison, and victory to allocate resources effectively in your business endeavors. This ensures resources are used wisely to gain a competitive advantage. In summary, this chapter advises businesses to understand themselves and their competition, strategically position themselves, avoid unfavorable battles, and emphasize leadership, discipline, ethics, and adaptability. It highlights the importance of timing and efficient resource allocation to achieve success in the business arena. Chapter 5, Energy. Sun Tzu said, "The control of a large force is the same principle as the control of a few men, it is merely a question of dividing up their numbers." Fighting with a large army under your command is no different from fighting with a small army, it is merely a question of instituting signs and signals. To ensure that your whole host may withstand the brunt of the enemy's attack and remain unshaken, this is affected by maneuvers direct and indirect. That the impact of your army may be like a grindstone dashed against an egg, this is affected by the science of weak points and strong. In all fighting, the direct method may be used for joining battle, but indirect methods will be needed in order to secure victory. Indirect tactics, efficiently applied, are inexhaustible as heaven and earth, unending as the flow of rivers and streams, like the sun and moon, they end but to begin anew, like the 4 seasons, they pass away to return once more. There are not more than 5 musical notes, yet the combinations of these 5 give rise to more melodies than can ever be heard. There are not more than 5 primary colors, blue, yellow, red, white, and black, yet in combination, they produce more hues than can ever been seen. There are not more than 5 cardinal tastes, sour, acrid, salt, sweet, and bitter, yet combinations of them yield more flavors than can ever be tasted. In battle, there are not more than 2 methods of attack, the direct and the indirect, yet these 2 in combination give rise to an endless series of maneuvers. The direct and the indirect lead on to each other in turn. It is like moving in a circle, you never come to an end. Who can exhaust the possibilities of their combination? The onset of troops is like the rush of a torrent which will even roll stones along in its course. The quality of decision is like the well-timed swoop of a falcon which enables it to strike and destroy its victim. Therefore, the good fighter will be terrible in his onset and prompt in his decision. Energy may be likened to the bending of a crossbow, decision, to the releasing of a trigger. Amid the turmoil and tumult of battle, there may be seeming disorder and yet no real disorder at all. Amid confusion and chaos, your array may be without head or tail, yet it will be proof against defeat. Simulated disorder postulates perfect discipline, simulated fear postulates courage, simulated weakness postulates strength. Hiding order beneath the cloak of disorder is simply a question of subdivision. Concealing courage under a show of timidity presupposes a fund of latent energy. Masking strength with weakness is to be effected by tactical dispositions. Thus, one who is skillful at keeping the enemy on the move maintains deceitful appearances, according to which the enemy will act. He sacrifices something that the enemy may snatch at it. By holding out baits, he keeps him on the march, then with a body of picked men, he lies in wait for him. The clever combatant looks to the effect of combined energy and does not require too much from individuals. Hence, his ability to pick out the right men and utilize combined energy. When he utilizes combined energy, his fighting men become as it were like unto rolling logs or stones. For it is the nature of a log or stone to remain motionless on level ground and to move when on a slope, if four-cornered, to come to a standstill, but if round-shaped, to go rolling down. Thus, the energy developed by good fighting men is as the momentum of a round stone rolled down a mountain thousands of feet in height. So much on the subject of energy. Chapter 5 of The Art of War by Sun Tzu, titled Energy, offers valuable insights for business strategy. Effective control. Whether you're managing a large or small team in business, effective leadership and control involve organizing and dividing tasks efficiently. Communication. In both business and warfare, communication is crucial. Establish clear signs, signals, and channels for efficient coordination within your organization. Maintaining resilience. Just as an army should remain unshaken under enemy attack, a business should be resilient to market fluctuations and external pressures. This resilience is achieved through both direct and indirect strategic maneuvers. Understanding weaknesses and strengths. To succeed, a business must understand its vulnerabilities and strengths. Use this knowledge to fortify your strengths and mitigate weaknesses. Combining direct and indirect approaches. While direct methods are suitable for initial engagement, indirect tactics are often needed to secure victory. In business, this means using a combination of straightforward and creative strategies to achieve your goals. Endless possibilities. The combination of direct and indirect approaches in business strategy offers endless possibilities for maneuvering and adapting to different situations. Timely action. In both warfare and business, timing is critical. Decisiveness and the ability to act at the right moment are essential for success. Energy and decision. Energy in business can be compared to potential energy stored in a bent crossbow, while decision-making is likened to releasing the trigger. Businesses should harness their energy effectively and make timely decisions. Creating order from chaos. A well-disciplined and organized business can maintain its effectiveness even in chaotic or turbulent situations. Simulated disorder can sometimes hide strategic discipline and strength. Deception and subdivision. Deceptive appearances and tactics can be used to keep competitors off balance. Subdividing tasks and responsibilities within a business allows for more effective coordination and control. Utilizing combined energy. In business, the combined efforts of a team are often more powerful than individual contributions. Effective leaders recognize the importance of harnessing collective energy and selecting the right team members. Leveraging momentum. Just as a round stone gains momentum when rolling down a slope, a business can capitalize on momentum by making strategic decisions that capitalize on its strengths and market conditions. In summary, Chapter 5 emphasizes the importance of efficient leadership, communication, timing, and the combined efforts of a team in both warfare and business. It encourages businesses to recognize their strengths and weaknesses, adapt to changing circumstances, and maintain resilience in the face of challenges. Effective control, decisive action, and strategic maneuvers are key to success in business, much like they are in military operations. Chapter 6, Weak Points and Strong. Those who anticipate, prepare, and arrive first on the battlefield and wait for the adversary are in a rested position. Those who arrive late on the battlefield, those who improvise and engage in battle, become exhausted. Skilled warriors make adversaries come to them and, under no circumstances, allow themselves to be drawn out of their stronghold. If you make adversaries come to you to fight, their strength will always be depleted. If you do not go out to fight, your strength will always be full. This is the art of emptying others and filling yourself. What drives adversaries to come towards you of their own accord is the prospect of winning. What discourages adversaries from going towards you is the likelihood of suffering harm. When adversaries are in a favorable position, you should wear them out. When they are well fed, cut off their supplies. When they are at rest, make them move. Attack unexpectedly, causing adversaries to exhaust themselves in a desperate bid to save their lives. Disrupt their provisions, ravage their fields, and cut their supply lines. Appear in critical places and attack where they least expect it, forcing them to come to the rescue. Appear where they cannot go, head for where they least expect it. To move hundreds of kilometers without fatigue, traverse uninhabited lands. Attacking open ground does not merely mean a place where the enemy has no defenses. As long as their defense is not strict, the place is not well guarded, enemies will scatter before you, as if you were traversing uninhabited territory. To infallibly capture what you attack, attack where there is no defense. To maintain an infallibly secure defense, defend where there is no attack. Thus, for those skilled in the attack, their enemies do not know where to attack. When instructions are followed, people are sincerely loyal and committed, plans and defense preparations are firmly implemented, being so subtle and reserved that strategies are not revealed in any way, and adversaries feel uncertain, and their intelligence serves them no purpose. Be extremely subtle, discreet, to the point of being formless. Be completely mysterious and confidential, to the point of being silent. In this way, you can control the destiny of your adversaries. To advance without encountering resistance, strike at their weak points. To retreat evasively, be faster than them. Military situations are based on speed, arrive like the wind, move like lightning, and adversaries will not be able to defeat you. Therefore, when you want to engage in battle, even if the adversary is entrenched in a defensive position, they cannot avoid fighting if you attack where they must come to the rescue. When you do not want to engage in battle, even if you draw a line on the ground that you want to preserve, the adversary cannot fight with you because you mislead them. This means that when adversaries arrive to attack you, you do not fight them but set a strategic change to confuse and unsettle them. Consequently, when you induce others to adopt a formation, while you yourself remain formless, you are concentrated, while your adversary is divided. Make adversaries see as extraordinary what is ordinary to you, make them see as ordinary what is extraordinary to you. This is inducing the enemy to adopt a formation. Once the enemy's formation is seen, concentrate your troops against it. Since your formation is not visible, the adversary will surely divide their forces. When you are concentrated into a single force while the enemy is divided into 10, you are attacking a concentration of 1 against 10, so your forces outweigh theirs. If you can attack a few soldiers with many, you will decimate your opponent's numbers. When you are strongly entrenched, fortified behind good barricades, and do not leak any information about your forces, go outside without a precise formation, attack, and conquer uncontrollably. They must not know where you intend to fight, for when it is not known, the enemy assigns many guard posts, and as soon as numerous posts are established, you only have to fight against small units. Therefore, when their vanguard is ready, their rear is faulty, and when their rear is ready, their vanguard presents weak points. Preparations on their right wing will mean a lack on their left wing. Preparations everywhere will mean vulnerability everywhere. This means that when troops are on guard in many places, they are necessarily scattered into small units. When you have only a few soldiers, you are on the defensive against the enemy who has many, make the enemy defend, and they must be defended. The more defenses you induce your enemy to adopt, the weaker they will be. Thus, it is said that victory can be created. If you make adversaries not know the place and date of the battle, you can always win. Even if the enemies are numerous, you can make them not engage in combat. Therefore, assess them to understand their plans and determine which strategy can succeed and which cannot. Encourage them to act to discover the general scheme of their movements and rest. Do something for or against them to catch their attention, so you can attract their behavior habits of attack and defense. Induce them to adopt specific formations to learn their weak points. This means using many methods to confuse and disrupt the enemy in order to observe their response patterns to you. After observing them, act accordingly, so you can know which situations mean life and which mean death. Test them to find their strengths and weaknesses. Therefore, the final point of an army's formation is to become formless. When you are formless, informants cannot discover anything, as information cannot create a strategy. Once you are formless, you leave no traces to be followed, informants find no crack to look through, and those in charge of planning cannot establish any workable plan. Victory over crowds through precise formations must be unknown to the crowds. Everyone knows the way they became victorious, but no one knows the way they secured victory. Consequently, victory in war is not repetitive but continuously adapts its form. Determining the appropriate changes means not repeating previous strategies to win. To achieve this, I can adapt from the beginning to any formation that adversaries may adopt. Formations are like water. The nature of water is to avoid the high and go toward the low. The nature of armies is to avoid the full and attack the empty. The flow of water is determined by the land. Victory is determined by the adversary. Thus, an army has no constant formation, just as water has no constant shape. Genius is the ability to achieve victory by changing and adapting according to the enemy. Chapter 6 of The Art of War by Sun Tzu advises businesses to adopt strategic flexibility and adaptability. Key takeaways for businesses include: anticipation and preparation. Anticipate market changes and be prepared for various scenarios. Understanding strengths and weaknesses. Know your own strengths and weaknesses to gain a competitive advantage. Drawing competitors in. Make competitors react to your initiatives by offering unique value propositions. Strategic deception. Keep your business strategies discreet to keep competitors guessing. Exploiting weaknesses. Be ready to capitalize on competitors' vulnerabilities. Adaptability and speed. Swiftly adapt to changing market conditions. Misleading competitors. Surprise competitors with unexpected moves. Continuous learning. Understand competitors' behavior and adapt accordingly. Creating uncertainty. Keep competitors uncertain about your next move. Adapting to formlessness. Be agile and ready to change strategies as needed. Incorporating these principles into business strategies can help companies outmaneuver competitors and thrive in dynamic markets. Chapter 7. On Direct and Indirect Confrontation. The ordinary rule for the use of the army is that the army command receives orders from civilian authorities and then gathers and concentrates the troops, quartering them together. There is nothing more difficult than armed conflict. To fight face to face with others to gain advantages is the most challenging thing in the world. The difficulty of armed conflict lies in making long distances seem short and turning problems into advantages. While you appear to be far away, you begin your journey and arrive before the enemy. Therefore, you make their route long, enticing them with the hope of winning. When you set out after others and arrive before them, you understand the strategy of making distances seem close. Employ a special unit to deceive the enemy by drawing them into a false pursuit, making them believe the bulk of your forces are far away. Then, launch a surprise attack force that arrives first, even though it started the journey later. Consequently, armed conflict can be profitable or perilous. It is profitable for the expert but perilous for the inexperienced. Mobilizing the entire army for combat to gain an advantage would take a long time, but fighting for an advantage with an incomplete army would result in a lack of resources. If you mobilize quickly, traveling day and night, covering double the usual distance, and you fight for an advantage thousands of kilometers away, your military leaders will be captured. The strong soldiers will get there first, and the tired ones will arrive later. Generally, only 1 out of every 10 succeeds. When the route is long, troops become weary. If they have spent their strength on mobilization, they arrive exhausted while their adversaries are fresh, ensuring they will be attacked. Fighting for an advantage 50 kilometers away will thwart the command's plans, and generally, only half of the soldiers will do it. If you fight for an advantage 30 kilometers away, only 2 out of every 3 soldiers will cover the distance. Thus, an army perishes if it is ill-equipped, lacks provisions, or has no money. These 3 things are necessary. You cannot fight to win with an ill-equipped army or without provisions, which money facilitates. Therefore, if you are unaware of your rival's plans, you cannot form precise alliances. Unless you know the mountains and forests, the gorges and passes, and the condition of swamps, you cannot maneuver with an armed force. Unless you use local guides, you cannot take advantage of the terrain. Only when you know every detail of the terrain's condition can you maneuver and wage war. Therefore, a military force is employed according to the planned strategy, mobilized with the hope of reward, and adapted through division and combination. A military force is established through strategy, distracting the enemy so they cannot discern your true position and impose their superiority. It is mobilized through the hope of reward, taking action when the possibility of an advantage arises. Dividing and recombining troops is done to confuse the adversary and observe how they react to you, allowing you to adapt for victory. Thus, when a military force moves quickly, it is like the wind; when it moves slowly, it is like the forest. It is voracious like fire that devastates a plain without leaving a blade of grass. It is immobile like a mountain when encamped. It is as difficult to fathom as darkness, its movement is like thunder that rumbles. To occupy a place, divide your troops. To expand your territory, divide the spoils. The general rule of military operations is to deprive the enemy of food as much as possible. However, in areas where people have little, it is necessary to divide the troops into smaller groups to take what they need in various places to ensure they have enough. As for dividing the booty, it means that you must distribute it among the troops to safeguard what has been gained, preventing the enemy from regaining it. Act after making an estimation. The winner is the one who first knows the measure of what is far and what is near. This is the general rule of armed conflict. The first to make a move is the guest, and the last is the host. The guest has a tough task, while the host has an easy one. Near and far relate to displacement. Fatigue, hunger, and cold arise from displacement. An ancient book on military affairs says, "Words are not heard, so cymbals and drums are made." Banners and flags are made due to a lack of visibility. Cymbals, drums, banners, and flags are used to concentrate and unify the soldiers' ears and eyes. Once they are unified, the brave cannot act alone, nor can the timid withdraw alone. This is the general rule of employing a group. Unifying the soldiers' ears and eyes means making them look and listen in unison so they do not fall into confusion and disorder. Signals are used to indicate directions and prevent individuals from going wherever they please. Therefore, in nighttime battles, use fires and drums, and in daytime battles, employ flags and banners to manipulate the soldiers' ears and eyes. Use many signals to confuse the enemy's perceptions and make them fear your formidable military power. In this way, you deplete the energy of their armies and demoralize their generals. First and foremost, you must be able to remain steadfast in your own heart, only then can you demoralize enemy generals. Hence, tradition states that people of ancient times had the firmness to demoralize, and the ancient law of chariot drivers said that when the original mind is firm, fresh energy is victorious. Thus, the energy of the morning is full of zeal, that of noon wanes, and the energy of the night withdraws. Consequently, experts in handling weapons prefer enthusiastic energy, attacking the flagging and those in retreat. They are the ones who master energy. Anyone weak in the world is ready to fight in a minute if they feel encouraged, but when it comes to taking up arms and entering battle, they are possessed by energy. When this energy fades, they will stop, be frightened, and regret having started. The reason why such armies look down on strong enemies, just as they do on virgins, is that they are taking advantage of their aggressiveness, stimulated by any cause. Using order to confront disorder, using calmness to deal with agitation, this is mastering the heart. Unless your heart is entirely open and your mind in order, you cannot expect to be capable of adapting to respond limitlessly, handling events infallibly, facing severe and unexpected difficulties without being troubled, and directing everything without confusion. Mastering strength means waiting for those coming from afar, waiting comfortably for those who are fatigued, and waiting with a full stomach for the hungry. This is what is meant when talking about attracting others to where you are while avoiding being induced to go where they are. Avoiding confrontation against well-ordered combat formations and not attacking large battalions constitutes mastery of adaptation. Therefore, the general rule of military operations is not to confront a large mountain or oppose the enemy with your back to it. This means that if the adversaries are on elevated terrain, you should not attack them uphill, and when they make a downhill charge, you should not face them. Do not pursue enemies when they feign a retreat or attack expert troops. If adversaries suddenly flee before exhausting their energy, there are likely ambushes waiting to attack your troops. In this case, you must hold back your officers so they do not launch a pursuit. Do not consume the food of their soldiers. If the enemy abruptly abandons their provisions, these must be tested before consumption in case they are poisoned. Do not hinder an army on its way back to its country. Under such circumstances, an adversary will fight to the death. You must leave an exit for a surrounded army. Show them a way to save their lives so they are not willing to fight to the death, and you can take advantage to attack them. Do not press a desperate enemy. A weary animal will continue to fight because that is the law of nature. These are the laws of military operations. In a business context, the principles outlined in Chapter 7 can be applied to strategic planning and decision-making. Strategic planning, just as in military strategy, a business should carefully plan its moves. This involves receiving guidance from top management, civilian authorities, and then aligning resources and teams to achieve specific goals. Competitive advantage, gaining an edge over competitors is challenging. It's crucial to find innovative ways to make seemingly distant opportunities more accessible and convert challenges into advantages. This might involve using unique tactics or technologies. Resource management, efficiently mobilizing resources, such as finances and talent, is essential. Rapid decision-making and adaptability can be advantageous, but exhausting resources too quickly can lead to problems. Market entry strategies. When expanding into new markets, consider the distance, competition, and resources required. Understand the terrain, which could be cultural, regulatory, or geographical, and adapt your approach accordingly. Teamwork and coordination. Just as armies must be unified, businesses need to ensure that teams and departments work cohesively. Communication and coordination are vital. Risk management. Evaluate risks before taking action. Know what's near and what's far in terms of challenges and opportunities. Being too hasty or too cautious can both have drawbacks. Visibility and signaling. Use clear signals and symbols to communicate your business's identity and direction. This can help unify employees and convey your strengths to customers and competitors. Energy and adaptation. Businesses should harness enthusiasm and energy when pursuing opportunities. Adaptability is key. Recognize when to press forward and when to hold back. Resource allocation. Allocate resources judiciously to maximize gains while minimizing waste. This includes efficiently distributing rewards and incentives among employees. Customer engagement. In marketing and sales, understand your customers' needs and wants, and use this knowledge to attract them to your products or services. Avoid being overly aggressive or pushy. Exit strategies. When necessary, have a clear exit plan. Whether leaving a market or discontinuing a product, ensure a smooth transition to minimize losses. Market analysis. Continuously monitor your market environment and competitors. Respond quickly to changes and threats, and be prepared for unexpected challenges. In essence, this chapter emphasizes the importance of strategic planning, adaptability, resource management, and understanding the competitive landscape, all of which are crucial aspects of achieving success in the business world. Chapter 8, Variation in Tactics. In war, the way is to avoid what is strong and to strike at what is weak. Water shapes its course according to the nature of the ground over which it flows. The soldier works out his victory in relation to the foe whom he is facing. Therefore, just as water retains no constant shape, so in warfare, there are no constant conditions. He who can modify his tactics in relation to his opponent and thereby succeed in winning may be called a heaven-born captain. The 5 elements, water, fire, wood, metal, earth, are not always equally predominant. The 4 seasons make way for each other in turn. There are short days and long. The moon has its periods of waning and waxing. So it is with war. The way of avoiding what is strong and striking at what is weak applies to the elements of war. Water has no constant form, but it can assume any given form. In warfare, there are no constant conditions. He who can modify his tactics in relation to his opponent and thereby succeed in winning may be called a heaven-born captain. The skillful soldier does not raise a second levy, neither are his supply wagons loaded more than twice. Bring war material with you from home, but forage on the enemy. Thus the army will have food enough for its needs. Poverty of the state exchequer causes an army to be maintained by contributions from a distance. Contributing to maintain an army at a distance causes the people to be impoverished. On the other hand, the proximity of an army causes prices to go up, and high prices cause the people's substance to be drained away. When their substance is drained away, the peasantry will be afflicted by heavy exactions. With this loss of substance and exhaustion of strength, the homes of the people will be stripped bare, and 3/10 of their income will be dissipated, while government expenses for broken chariots, worn-out horses, breastplates and helmets, bows and arrows, spears and shields, protective mantles, draft oxen and heavy wagons, will amount to 4/10 of its total revenue. Hence a wise general makes a point of foraging on the enemy. 1 cartload of the enemy's provisions is equivalent to 20 of one's own, and likewise, a single pickle of his provender is equivalent to 20 from one's own store. Now in order to kill the enemy, our men must be roused to anger, that there may be advantage from defeating the enemy, they must have their rewards. Therefore in chariot fighting, when 10 or more chariots have been taken, those should be rewarded who took the first. Our own flags should be substituted for those of the enemy, and the chariots mingled and used in conjunction with ours. The captured soldiers should be kindly treated and kept. This is called using the conquered foe to augment one's own strength. In war, then, let your great object be victory, not lengthy campaigns. Thus it may be known that the leader of armies is the arbiter of the people's fate, the man on whom it depends whether the nation shall be in peace or in peril. In a business context, Chapter 8 of The Art of War by Sun Tzu emphasizes the importance of adaptability, strategy, and resource management. 1. Flexibility is key. In business, it's essential to adapt your tactics based on changing circumstances. Just as water flows differently depending on the terrain, business strategies should evolve to address the competition and market conditions. 2. Recognize changing conditions, like the changing seasons or phases of the moon. Business environments are dynamic. Successful business leaders adjust their strategies as conditions change. 3. Heaven-born captain. A successful business leader is like a heaven-born captain who can modify tactics to succeed in different situations. This means being agile and responsive to market shifts and competitive moves. 4. Efficient resource management. Effective resource management is crucial. Don't deplete your resources unnecessarily. Use your resources wisely to ensure sustainability. 5. Strategic foraging. Just as you bring some resources with you but rely on foraging during a campaign, in business, it's smart to have a reserve but also seek opportunities to gather resources from the market. 6. Beware of overextending. If you overextend your business without proper planning, it can lead to financial strain and poor performance. Be cautious when expanding into new markets or launching new products. 7. Rewards and motivation. To achieve success in business, motivate your team by offering rewards and recognition for their efforts. A motivated workforce is more likely to achieve objectives. 8. Efficient use of resources. Make the most of your resources by using captured opportunities to enhance your business strength. This could involve strategic partnerships, acquisitions, or incorporating successful competitor strategies. 9. Focus on victory. In business, the primary goal should be to win or achieve success, not to engage in lengthy, resource-draining endeavors. 10. Leadership matters. Business leaders play a critical role in determining a company's success or failure. They must make strategic decisions that impact the fate of the organization and its stakeholders. In summary, Chapter 8 of The Art of War advises adaptability, efficient resource management, strategic thinking, and a focus on victory in a business context. It highlights the importance of leadership in guiding a company through dynamic and competitive markets. Chapter 9, The Distribution of Means. Military maneuvers result from plans and strategies for the most advantageous way to win. They determine the mobility and effectiveness of the troops. If you are going to position your army to observe the enemy, quickly traverse the mountains and keep watch on them from a valley. Consider the effect of light and stay in the highest position of the valley. When fighting on a mountain, attack from the top down, not the other way around. Fight when going downhill, never uphill. Avoid letting water divide your forces, move away from unfavorable conditions as soon as possible. Do not engage enemies in the water, it's best to let half of their troops pass and then divide and attack them. Do not position yourself downstream. Do not travel against the current or against the wind. If you camp on the riverbank, your armies can be surprised at night, pushed to drown, or poisoned in the current. Do not anchor your boats downstream to prevent the enemy from taking advantage of the current by sending their boats against you. Cross swamps quickly. If you face an army in the middle of a swamp, stay near aquatic plants or backed by trees. On a plain, take positions that are easy to maneuver, with higher ground behind and to your right, and lower ground in front and to the left. Generally, an army prefers higher ground and avoids lower ground, appreciates light, and dislikes darkness. High grounds are invigorating, and people feel comfortable in them. They are also suitable for gaining the strength of momentum. Low grounds are damp, which causes diseases and hinders combat. Take care of the physical health of your soldiers with the best resources available. When there is no illness in an army, it is said to be invincible. Where there are mounds and embankments, position yourself on the sunny side, always keeping them to your right and behind. Placing yourself in the best part of the terrain is advantageous for a military force. The advantage in a military operation lies in making use of all beneficial terrain factors. When it rains upstream and the current carries foam, if you want to cross it, wait until it clears. Whenever the terrain presents insurmountable ravines, closed places, traps, risks, crevices, and natural prisons, you must quickly abandon it and not approach it. As for me, I always stay away from these terrain accidents, so that adversaries are closer to them than I am. I face these accidents, so that they are behind the enemy. Then you are in an advantageous position, and they have unfavorable conditions. When an army is moving, if it crosses mountainous territories with many streams and wells, or swamps covered with reeds, or virgin forests full of trees and vegetation, it is essential to scrutinize them thoroughly and carefully, as these places aid ambushes and spies. It is essential to dismount and survey the terrain, in case there are hidden troops waiting to ambush you. It could also be that there are spies lurking, observing your instructions and movements. When the enemy is nearby but remains calm, it means they are in a strong position. When they are far away but try to provoke hostilities, it means they want you to advance. If, in addition, their position is accessible, it means it is favorable to them. If an opponent does not hold the position that is favorable to them due to the terrain conditions and instead places themselves in another convenient location, it must be because there is some tactical advantage in doing so. If the trees move, the enemy is approaching. If there are obstacles among the thickets, you have taken a wrong path. The idea of placing many obstacles among the thickets is to make you think that there are hidden troops in the midst of it. If birds take flight, there are hidden troops in the area. If animals are frightened, there are attacking troops. If thick and tall dust columns rise, chariots are approaching. If they are low and wide, infantry is approaching. Scattered smoke signals indicate that wood is being cut. Small dust clouds that come and go indicate that it's time to break camp. If nocturnal calls occur, enemy soldiers are fearful. They are afraid and restless, and that's why they call to each other. If the army lacks discipline, this means the general is not taken seriously. If the standards move, it means the army is in confusion. Signals are used to unify the group, so if they move here and there without order or arrangement, it means their ranks are confused. If their emissaries show irritation, it means they are tired. If they kill their horses for meat, it means the soldiers lack food. When they have no cooking pots and do not return to their camp, they are completely desperate enemies. If there are mutterings, lack of discipline, and soldiers talk a lot among themselves, it means loyalty to the troops has been lost. Mutterings describe the expression of true feelings, lack of discipline indicates problems with superiors. When command has lost the loyalty of the troops, soldiers speak frankly to each other about their problems with their superiors. If many rewards are given, it means the enemy is in a dead end. When too many punishments are ordered, it means the enemy is desperate. When the force of their momentum is exhausted, they constantly give rewards to keep the soldiers content, preventing them from rebelling en masse. When soldiers are so exhausted that they cannot follow orders, they are punished repeatedly to restore authority. To be violent at the beginning and later fear one's own soldiers is the height of ineptitude. Emissaries who come with a conciliatory attitude indicate that the enemy wants a truce. If enemy troops face you with enthusiasm but delay entering combat without leaving the terrain, observe them carefully. They are preparing a surprise attack. In military matters, it is not necessarily more beneficial to be superior in forces, only to avoid unnecessary violence. It is sufficient to consolidate your power, estimate the enemy, and gather troops, that's all. An enemy that acts alone, lacks strategy, and takes their adversaries lightly will inevitably be defeated. If your plan does not contain a withdrawal strategy or a post-attack strategy but relies solely on the strength of your soldiers, and you take your adversaries lightly without assessing their condition, you will surely be captured. If soldiers are punished before achieving loyalty to the command, they will not obey, and if they do not obey, they will be difficult to employ. They cannot be employed even if no punishment is carried out, even after gaining their loyalty. When there is an underlying sense of appreciation and trust, and the hearts of the soldiers are already tied to the command, if discipline is relaxed, the soldiers will become arrogant and impossible to employ. Therefore, lead them through civilized art and unify them through martial arts. This means continuous victory. Civilized art means humanity, and martial arts mean regulations. Command them with humanity and benevolence, unify them strictly and firmly. When benevolence and firmness are evident, you can be sure of victory. When orders are given clearly, simply, and consistently to the troops, they accept them. When orders are confused, contradictory, and changing, the troops either do not accept them or do not understand them. This chapter from The Art of War by Sun Tzu can be applied to various business situations, emphasizing the importance of strategic planning, understanding your environment, and managing resources effectively. Strategic positioning. Just as in warfare, businesses need to position themselves strategically in the market. This involves quickly adapting to changes in the industry and observing competitors from various angles. Adaptation to surroundings. Just as a military force should adapt to its environment, businesses must adapt to the economic, technological, and regulatory landscape. This means staying agile and being prepared to change course when necessary. Terrain analysis. In business, understanding the competitive landscape, market conditions, and customer preferences is crucial. This knowledge helps in making informed decisions and avoiding unfavorable situations. Resource management. Efficiently managing resources, whether it's finances, human capital, or technology, is essential. Wastefulness and mismanagement can lead to dire consequences. Discipline and leadership. Maintaining discipline within the organization and having effective leadership are key to success. Leaders should lead with both compassion and authority to inspire loyalty and commitment from their teams. Adaptability and flexibility. The business world is constantly changing. To succeed, companies need to adapt, learn, and innovate. Sticking to rigid plans without considering changing circumstances can lead to failure. Effective communication. Clear and concise communication within an organization is vital. Confusion and contradictory messages can disrupt operations and lead to inefficiencies. Assessment and analysis. Regularly evaluating the competitive landscape, market conditions, and internal operations helps in making informed decisions and seizing opportunities. Resource allocation. Allocating resources wisely based on strategic goals and market conditions is essential for maintaining a competitive advantage. Building loyalty and trust. Leaders should build trust and loyalty within their teams to ensure that employees are motivated and committed to achieving organizational goals. In essence, this chapter emphasizes the importance of strategic thinking, adaptability, effective resource management, and disciplined leadership in the context of business. Understanding your business environment and leveraging your resources effectively can lead to success, just as in military campaigns. Chapter 10, on Topology. In this chapter, Sun Tzu discusses the significance of understanding various types of terrain in warfare. Some terrains are easy, others difficult, some neutral, others narrow, rugged, or open. When the terrain is accessible, be the first to establish your position, choosing sunny heights in a location suitable for transporting supplies. This way, you will have an advantage when engaging in battle. When you find yourself in challenging terrain that is hard to navigate, you are limited. In such terrain, if your enemy is unprepared, you can win by pressing forward. However, if the enemy is prepared, advancing further will make it difficult for you to retreat, working against you. In terrain unfavorable to both sides, it is considered neutral ground. Even if the adversary offers you an advantage, do not exploit it. Instead, withdraw, enticing the enemy to move some of their troops out, and then strike when the conditions are favorable. In narrow terrain, if you arrive first, occupy it entirely and wait for the enemy. If the enemy arrives first and blocks the passages, do not pursue. Pursue only if the passages are not blocked. In rugged terrain, if you arrive first, take the high and sunny points and await the enemy. If the enemy has already occupied them, withdraw and do not pursue. In open terrain, the force of momentum is evenly matched, making it difficult to engage the enemy in unfavorable conditions. Understanding these 6 types of terrain is the chief responsibility of a general and is essential to consider. These are the configurations of the terrain. Generals who ignore them are defeated. Among troops, there are those who flee, those who retreat, those who collapse, those who rebel, and those who are defeated. None of these circumstances are natural disasters but are instead due to the mistakes of generals. Troops with equal momentum that engage at a ratio of 1 to 10 are defeated. Those with strong troops but weak officers are forced to retreat. Those with weak soldiers commanded by strong officers will find themselves in trouble. When senior officers act in anger, are violent, and engage the enemy impulsively, and when generals disregard their capabilities, the army falls apart. As a general rule, to defeat the enemy, the entire military command must have a single purpose, and all military forces must cooperate. When generals are weak and lack authority, orders are unclear, officers and soldiers lack cohesion, and formations are chaotic, rebellion occurs. Generals who are defeated are those unable to assess their adversaries, engage with superior or better equipped forces, or select troops based on their preparedness. If you employ soldiers without distinguishing between the prepared and unprepared, the daring and the timid, you are setting yourself up for your own defeat. These are the 6 ways to be defeated. Understanding these situations is the supreme responsibility of generals and must be considered. The first is failing to assess the number of forces, the second is the absence of a clear system of rewards and punishments, the third is insufficient training, the fourth is irrational passion, the fifth is the inefficacy of the law of order, and the sixth is the failure to select strong and resolute soldiers. Terrain configuration can support the army. For military leaders, the right course of action is to assess the enemy to ensure victory and calculate risks and distances. Those who fight battles with this understanding are victorious, while those who fight without it are defeated. Therefore, when the laws of war indicate a certain victory, it is clearly appropriate to engage in battle, even if the government has ordered not to attack. If the laws of war do not indicate certain victory, it is suitable not to engage in battle, even if the government has ordered an attack. In this way, you advance without seeking glory, order a retreat without evading responsibility, with the sole purpose of protecting the population and benefiting the government. This provides a valuable service to the nation. Advancing and retreating against government orders are not done for personal interest but to safeguard the lives of the population and serve the government's true interests. Servants of this caliber are very useful to a nation. Look after your soldiers as you would a newborn, they will be willing to follow you to the deepest valleys. Care for your soldiers as you do for your beloved children, and they will gladly die with you. However, if you are too kind to them to the extent that you cannot utilize them, too lenient to give them orders, and too informal to discipline them, your soldiers will become like spoiled children and, thus, useless. Rewards should not be used alone, and reliance solely on punishments is ill-advised. Otherwise, troops, like spoiled children, become accustomed to enjoying or resenting everything. This is harmful and renders them ineffective. If you know that your soldiers are capable of attacking but are uncertain whether the enemy is vulnerable to an attack, you have only half a chance of winning. If you know that your enemy is vulnerable to an attack but are uncertain if your soldiers are capable of attacking, you still only have half a chance of winning. If you know that the enemy is vulnerable to an attack, your soldiers can execute it, but you are unsure if the terrain conditions favor battle, you have only half a chance of victory. Therefore, those who understand the martial arts do not waste time in their movements and do not exhaust themselves when they attack. This is why it is said that when you know yourself and know others, victory is not in danger. When you know the heavens and the earth, victory is inexhaustible. In a business context, Sun Tzu's teachings from Chapter 10 of The Art of War can be applied to strategic planning and management. Understanding terrain. In the business world, terrain represents the competitive landscape, industry conditions, and market dynamics. Just as generals must understand various terrains, business leaders should analyze and comprehend the different aspects of their market, including customer segments, competitors, and regulatory environments. Strategic positioning. Similar to establishing a strong position on favorable terrain in warfare, businesses should identify and occupy advantageous market positions. This could involve selecting target customer segments, geographic locations, or product niches that offer strategic advantages. Adaptation to challenges. When facing challenging market conditions, businesses must adapt. If competitors are well prepared, it's important to consider alternative strategies or find unique value propositions. Staying agile and responsive is crucial in such situations. Neutral ground. Neutral ground in business can refer to market segments or opportunities where neither competitors nor your business has a significant advantage. In these cases, rather than exploiting the situation directly, it may be wise to withdraw temporarily, let competitors commit resources, and then re-enter with a well-thought-out plan. Different types of markets. Recognize that different markets require different approaches. Just as narrow, rugged, or open terrains have unique characteristics, different market segments may have specific demands and competition levels. Tailoring strategies to suit these variations is vital. Leadership and teamwork. Effective leadership and teamwork are critical in both warfare and business. Business leaders should ensure that their teams have a shared vision and work together harmoniously to achieve strategic goals. Assessing risks and rewards. Evaluating risks and rewards is fundamental. In business, decisions to enter new markets, launch products, or make investments should be based on careful analysis, much like generals assessing the chances of victory in battle. Managing personnel. The importance of managing personnel applies to business as well. Leaders should strike a balance between being supportive and setting clear expectations. This ensures that employees are motivated and disciplined, leading to a more effective workforce. Motivation and discipline. Motivating employees and instilling discipline is crucial for productivity and achieving business objectives. Leaders should understand their team members' strengths and weaknesses and provide appropriate incentives. Balancing rewards and punishments. In business, the balance between rewards and punishments is essential for employee morale and performance. Overemphasizing one or the other can lead to unintended consequences, such as complacency or resentment. Knowing your market and competition. Just as understanding the enemy is crucial in warfare, knowing your market and competition is key in business. This knowledge helps in making informed decisions and formulating effective strategies. Agility and efficiency. Finally, the concept of not wasting time or resources and avoiding exhaustion applies to business. Being efficient and agile in operations, decision-making, and resource allocation is vital for success. In summary, Sun Tzu's teachings emphasize the importance of strategic thinking, adaptability, effective leadership, and a deep understanding of the business landscape. By applying these principles, businesses can better navigate competitive challenges and increase their chances of success. Chapter 11. The 9 Situations. Sun Tzu said, "The art of war recognizes 9 varieties of ground. 1. Dispersive ground. 2. Facile ground. 3. Contentious ground. 4. Open ground. 5. Ground of intersecting highways. 6. Serious ground. 7. Difficult ground. 8. Hemmed-in ground. 9. Desperate ground." If local interests fight each other in their own territory, this is called dispersed terrain. When soldiers are attached to their homes and fight near their homeland, they can be easily dispersed. When you penetrate foreign territory but do not go in depth, this is called light terrain. This means that the soldiers can easily return. The terrain that can be advantageous if you take it and advantageous to the enemy if they conquer it is called key terrain. Terrain of inevitable combat includes any defensive enclave or strategic pass. Terrain equally accessible to you and others is called communication terrain. The terrain that is surrounded by 3 rival territories and is the first to provide free access to everyone is called intersection terrain. Intersection terrain is where the main communication routes converge, uniting them. Be the first to occupy it, and people will have to be on your side. If you get it, you are safe. If you lose it, you are in danger. When you penetrate deep into foreign territory and leave behind many cities and towns, this terrain is called difficult. It is difficult terrain from which it is difficult to return. When you traverse wooded mountains, steep cliffs, or other difficult-to-pass obstacles, this is called unfavorable terrain. When access is narrow and the exit is tortuous, so that a small enemy unit can attack you, even if your troops are more numerous, this is called enclosed terrain. If you are capable of great adaptation, you can traverse this terrain. If you can only survive in a terrain by fighting quickly, and it is easy to die if you do not, this is called mortal terrain. Troops in mortal terrain are in the same situation as if they were in a sinking boat or a burning house. Therefore, do not fight in dispersed terrain, do not stop in light terrain, do not attack in key terrain, occupied by the enemy, do not allow your troops to be divided in communication terrain. In intersection terrains, establish communications, in difficult terrains, enter provision, in unfavorable terrains, continue marching, in enclosed terrains, make plans, in mortal terrains, fight. In dispersed terrain, soldiers can flee. Light terrain is when soldiers have penetrated enemy territory but still do not have their backs covered. That is why their minds are not really focused and they are not ready for battle. It is not advantageous to attack the enemy in key terrain. What is advantageous is to get there first. The communication terrain must not be isolated so that supply routes can be used. In intersection terrains, you will be safe if you establish alliances. If you lose them, you will be in danger. In difficult terrains, entering provisioned means gathering everything necessary to stay there for a long time. In unfavorable terrains, since you cannot entrench yourself in it, you must hurry to leave. In enclosed terrains, introduce surprise tactics. If troops fall into mortal terrain, everyone will fight spontaneously. This is why it is said, place the troops in mortal terrain and they will survive. Those who were once considered experts in the art of war were able to make the enemy lose contact between their vanguard and rearguard, the confidence between large and small units, the mutual interest in the well-being of different ranks, the mutual support between rulers and the ruled, the enlistment of soldiers, and the coherence of their armies. These experts acted when it was advantageous for them and refrained when it was not. They introduced changes to confuse the enemy, attacking here and there, terrorizing them and sowing confusion in them, so that they did not have time to make plans. One might ask how to face numerous and well-organized enemy forces heading toward you. The answer is to take away something they value first, and then they will listen to you. The speed of action is the essential factor of the military force condition, taking advantage of the enemy's mistakes, moving on unexpected paths, and attacking when they are not on guard. This means that to take advantage of the lack of preparation, vision, and caution of the adversaries, it is necessary to act quickly, and if you hesitate, these mistakes will not serve you at all. In an invasion, generally speaking, the more invaders penetrate foreign territory, the stronger they become, to the point that the native government can no longer expel them. Choose fertile fields, and the troops will have enough to eat. Take care of their health and avoid fatigue, consolidate their energy, and increase their strength. Make the movements of your troops and the preparation of your plans unfathomable. Consolidate the most enthusiastic energy of your troops, save the surplus forces, keep your formations and plans secret, remaining inscrutable to the enemies, and wait for a vulnerable point to advance. Place your troops in a point that has no way out, so that they have to die before they can escape. Because, in the face of the possibility of death, what would they not be willing to do? Warriors then give their best efforts. When faced with a serious danger, they lose fear. When there is nowhere else to go, they stand firm. When they are fully involved in a terrain, they cling to it. If they have no other choice, they will fight to the end. For this reason, soldiers are vigilant without needing to be stimulated, they enlist without needing to be called up, they are friendly without the need for promises, and they can be trusted naturally without promises or the need for hierarchy. Prohibit omens to avoid doubts, and soldiers will never abandon you. If your soldiers lack wealth, it is not because they despise it. If they lack longevity, it is not because they do not want to live longer. The day the marching order is given, the soldiers cry. Therefore, a skillfully prepared military operation should be like a swift snake that counterattacks with its tail when someone attacks it from the head, counterattacks with the head when someone attacks it from the tail, and counterattacks with head and tail when someone attacks it from the middle. This image represents the method of a battle line that responds quickly when attacked. A manual of 8 classic battle formations says, make the front the rear, make the rear the front, with 4 heads and 8 tails. Make the head be everywhere, and when the enemy rushes through the center, head and tail will come to the rescue. The question may arise as to whether it is possible to make a military force like a fast snake. The answer is yes. Even people who dislike each other, when in the same boat, will help each other in case of danger of capsizing. It is the force of the situation that makes this happen. Therefore, it is not enough to place trust in tied horses and fixed wheels. Horses are tied to form a stable battle line, and wheels are fixed to prevent the wagons from moving. But even so, this is not secure enough and cannot be relied upon. Variations to the changes made must be allowed, putting soldiers in deadly situations so that they fight spontaneously and help each other side by side. This is the path to safety and the achievement of certain victory. The best organization is to express valor and keep it constant. Success with weak and seasoned troops is based on circumstances. If you gain the advantage of terrain, you can defeat adversaries, even with light and weak troops. How much more possible would it be if you have powerful and seasoned troops? What makes victory possible for both types of troops is the circumstances of the terrain. Therefore, experts in military operations achieve the cooperation of the troops in such a way that leading a group is like leading a single individual who has only one choice. It is up to the general to be calm, reserved, fair, and methodical. Chapter 11 of The Art of War by Sun Tzu focuses on the concept of different types of terrains in warfare and how they can be strategically approached. In a business context, these terrains can be metaphorically applied to various aspects of business strategy and competition. Dispersion terrain, this is when local interests within a company compete against each other. In business, it represents internal conflicts or divisions. To succeed, a company must align its internal interests and resources. Home terrain, soldiers defending their home territory may become complacent. In business, if a company operates too comfortably in its existing market, it may become vulnerable to more agile competitors. Always be prepared to adapt. Light terrain, when entering a new market or expanding, it's important not to overextend. Keep operations agile and be ready to retreat if necessary. Key terrain, some markets or positions are strategically crucial. It's important to identify and secure these positions while denying them to competitors. Inevitable terrain, certain situations in business are unavoidable, like regulatory challenges or industry standards. Prepare for these inevitabilities in advance. Communication terrain, ensure efficient communication within your organization and with partners or customers. Effective communication is vital for success. Intersection terrain, in business, this represents markets or positions that are highly contested. Be the first to occupy such positions, but also be prepared to defend them. Difficult terrain, this refers to complex business environments, such as international markets or industries with numerous barriers to entry. Be well prepared and have a long-term strategy. Unfavorable terrain. Some business environments are inherently challenging. It's crucial to adapt quickly and make the most of available opportunities. Encircled terrain. When a competitor has you surrounded, you must find innovative ways to break out of the encirclement or turn the situation to your advantage. Mortal terrain. These are situations where a business is at great risk, such as financial crises or existential threats. In such cases, rapid and effective action is essential for survival. In the business world, understanding and effectively navigating these terrains can help a company develop a more robust and adaptable strategic approach. It's about recognizing the challenges and opportunities presented by different situations and markets and adjusting your strategies accordingly. Chapter 12. On the Art of Fire Attack. There are 5 types of fire attacks: burning people, burning supplies, burning equipment, burning warehouses, and burning weapons. The use of fire must have a foundation and requires certain means. There are suitable moments to ignite fires, specifically when the weather is dry and windy. Normally, it is essential to monitor the changes caused by it in fire attacks. When the fire is inside the enemy camp, prepare quickly from the outside. If the soldiers remain calm when the fire breaks out, wait and do not attack. When the fire reaches its peak, follow it if you can; if not, wait. In general, fire is used to sow confusion in the enemy to enable an attack. When fire can be ignited in an open field, do not wait to do it inside, do it when the opportunity arises. When the fire is fanned by the wind, do not attack in the opposite direction. It is not effective to fight against the force of fire because the enemy will fight to the death in this case. If the wind has blown during the day, it will calm down at night. A daytime wind will cease at dusk, a nighttime wind will cease at dawn. Armies must know that there are variations of the 5 types of fire attacks and adapt to them rationally. It is not enough to know how to attack others with fire, you must also know how to prevent others from attacking you. Therefore, using fire to support an attack signifies clarity, and using water to support an attack signifies strength. Water can obstruct but not destroy. Water can be used to divide an enemy army so that its strength weakens, and yours strengthens. Winning in combat or conducting a successful siege without rewarding those who have merited it brings bad fortune and earns the label of greed. That's why it is said that an enlightened government takes it into account, and good military leadership rewards merit. It does not mobilize its troops when there are no advantages to gain, nor acts when there is nothing to win, nor fights when there is no danger. Weapons are instruments of ill omen, and war is a dangerous affair. Preventing a disastrous defeat is indispensable, so it is not worth mobilizing an army for insignificant reasons. Weapons should only be used when there is no other remedy. A government should not mobilize an army out of anger, and military leaders should not provoke war out of rage. Act when it is beneficial, otherwise, desist. Anger can turn into joy, and rage can turn into pleasure, but a destroyed people cannot be revived, and death cannot be turned into life. Therefore, an enlightened government pays attention to all of this, and good military leadership takes it into account. This is the way to keep the nation safe and preserve its army intact. Chapter 12 of The Art of War by Sun Tzu can be applied to a business context as follows. Strategic attacks. In business, this chapter emphasizes the need for strategic attacks, which can be seen as competitive maneuvers. These attacks could include marketing campaigns, product launches, or pricing strategies aimed at gaining an advantage over rivals. Timing and adaptation. Sun Tzu's emphasis on timing and adaptation translates to the importance of seizing opportunities in the market when conditions are favorable. Businesses must be flexible and responsive to changing market dynamics. Disruption and confusion. Similar to sowing confusion in the enemy camp, businesses can disrupt their competitors by surprising them with innovative ideas, unique value propositions, or unexpected market entries. Resource management. Efficient resource allocation is crucial. Businesses should focus their efforts and resources where they can have the most impact, avoiding unnecessary expenditures on insignificant endeavors. Conflict avoidance. Sun Tzu advises against mobilizing forces, in this case, resources or strategies, out of anger or without a clear benefit. In the business context, this suggests avoiding rash decisions and instead making well-calculated moves. Rewarding merit. Recognizing and rewarding excellence within the organization is essential for morale and long-term success. In business, this could mean acknowledging and promoting talented employees. Maintaining stability. Lastly, the chapter underscores the importance of maintaining the stability and integrity of the business. This involves safeguarding assets, intellectual property, and the overall reputation of the company. In summary, Chapter 12 of The Art of War encourages businesses to adopt strategic thinking, make well-timed and adaptable moves, disrupt competitors, allocate resources efficiently, avoid unnecessary conflicts, and recognize and reward excellence to ensure long-term success and stability. Chapter 13. On Harmony and Discord. A military operation entails a great effort for the people, and war may last for many years to achieve a victory of a single day. Therefore, failing to understand the situation of adversaries due to economizing on approving expenses for investigating and studying the opposition is extremely inhumane and not typical of a good military leader, a government counselor, or a victorious ruler. Thus, what enables an intelligent government and a wise military command to prevail over others and achieve extraordinary triumphs is this essential information. Preceding information cannot be obtained from ghosts or spirits, nor can it be arrived at by analogy or discovered through calculations. It must be obtained from people who know the adversary's situation. There are 5 classes of spies: the native spy, the internal spy, the double agent, the expendable spy, and the floating spy. When all of them are active, no one knows their roots. This is called organizational genius, and it applies to the ruler. Native spies are recruited from the inhabitants of a locality. Internal spies are recruited from enemy officials. Double agents are recruited from enemy spies. Expendable spies transmit false data to enemy spies. Floating spies return to bring their reports. Among the officials of the enemy regime are those with whom contact can be established and who can be bribed to find out their country's situation and discover any plans that may be hatched against you. They can also be used to create discord and disharmony. Therefore, no one in the armed forces is treated with as much familiarity as spies, no one is rewarded as generously as they are, and no matter is more secretive than espionage. If spies are not treated well, they may become turncoats and work for the enemy. Spies cannot be used without sagacity and knowledge. One cannot employ spies without humanity and justice. The truth cannot be obtained from spies without subtlety. Certainly, it is a very delicate matter. Spies are useful everywhere. Every matter requires prior knowledge. If any espionage matter is divulged before the spy has reported it, both the spy and the one who divulged it must be eliminated. Whenever you intend to attack an army, besiege a city, or confront a person, you must first know the identities of the generals defending it, their allies, their visitors, their sentinels, and their servants. Therefore, have your spies find out everything about them. Whenever you plan to attack and fight, you must first know the talents of the enemy's servants, so you can confront them according to their capabilities. You should seek out enemy agents who have come to spy on you, bribe them, and induce them to switch sides so you can use them as double agents. With the information obtained in this manner, you can find native spies and internal spies to recruit. With the information obtained from these, you can create false information using expendable spies. With the information thus obtained, you can make floating spies act according to the planned strategies. It is essential for a ruler to understand the 5 classes of espionage, and this knowledge depends on double agents. Therefore, they must be well treated. Thus, only a brilliant ruler or a wise general who can utilize the most intelligent individuals for espionage can be certain of victory. Espionage is crucial for military operations, and armies rely on it to carry out their actions. It will not be advantageous for the army to act without knowing the enemy's situation, and knowing the enemy's situation is not possible without espionage. In a business context, Chapter 13 of The Art of War emphasizes the importance of information, intelligence, and competitive analysis. Here's a summarized explanation. Understanding the competitive landscape. Just as in warfare, business operations require significant effort and can last a long time to achieve success. Neglecting to understand the market and competitors due to cost-cutting or lack of research is not wise business leadership. Intelligent business leaders utilize essential information to outperform rivals and achieve extraordinary success. Role of market research and competitive analysis. Sun Tzu's idea of spies corresponds to market researchers, employees with industry knowledge, competitive intelligence analysts, and consultants who gather and analyze information about competitors and market conditions. Types of spies. In business, Sun Tzu outlines 5 types of spies. In business, these can be likened to internal teams, external consultants, experts with industry connections, employees within competitor organizations, and individuals who can provide valuable market insights. Utilizing information. Business leaders use this information to make informed decisions, develop strategies, and gain insights into the competitive landscape. Importance of discretion: maintaining the confidentiality of sensitive information is crucial. Just as spies must be well treated to prevent them from becoming turncoats, businesses must handle sensitive data carefully to avoid leaks. Espionage as a competitive advantage: in business, understanding market dynamics, competitors, and customer needs is essential for success. Espionage, in the form of market research and competitive analysis, plays a critical role in shaping business strategies and ensuring a competitive advantage. In summary, Chapter 13 of The Art of War underscores the importance of gathering intelligence, understanding the competitive landscape, utilizing information effectively, and maintaining confidentiality in the business world to achieve long-term success and outperform competitors. Before we say goodbye, I'd like to leave you with a reminder. If you've enjoyed this content and found it valuable, please consider subscribing to our channel. Your support means the world to us, and by subscribing, you'll stay connected on our journey to 94, where we'll continue to provide videos to help you lead a healthy and successful life. Thank you for being part of our community, and we look forward to having you with us on this exciting journey ahead. Goodbye for now.